Hello everyone, it's Oliver Harper here, and I'm back with a new 4K Blu-ray Collection update. The last one I did was about 4 years ago, in 2021, and the one before that was maybe 2019. Since then, I've picked up about 80 4K Blu-rays, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm going to go through all of them today. It's going to take a bit of time, so maybe about an hour long, this video. I can't remember the transfers for all of them, so I'll try and do my best to try and judge if the quality was better than the original kind of regular Blu-ray and what extras you get and any sort of special editions I've got in this big collection. So kicking off, we're going to start with Dragon Slayer. Now, there was a nice kind of set they put out originally, Paramount did, in America only, and I missed out on that, so I just got the regular edition they put out on 4K. It comes with a new commentary, a little making of featurette and screen tests, an original trailer. Now, the making of for this, I remember watching it thinking, it's interesting, but it's new interviews with people, but sort of the behind the scenes stuff is just photos. And I thought to myself, I swear there must have been a featurette at the time on this. I did stumble across Phil Tippett talking about the go motion effects for the dragon. That was really interesting to see online, but it wasn't on this. So I saw this film once as a kid. I didn't remember much of it, so I returned to it for this Blu-ray, and I really enjoyed it. It's a bit too long in places, and it's so strange seeing the guy from Ghostbusters 2 and Ally McBeal kind of star as the lead as this in this film, and being the hero. It's kind of weird casting, but it kind of works. Yeah, it's a fun film to kick off the 1980s, the sort of the fantasy craze that didn't really take off when the films bombed, and I don't think this one did particularly well, but it's very well made and worth a look if you love your fantasy films. Next up, we have Oppenheimer. I think everyone bought this 4K disc who has a 4K player. Really good picture, which you can always expect from Christopher Nolan shooting on IMAX cameras and 70mm. I didn't review this film when it came out. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was a very long film, especially to watch in an IMAX screen. But I didn't dislike it, so obviously because I bought it on 4K. And I've watched it once since, and I haven't really had the desire to go back to it. It's a fascinating film, but I think it's one of those movies you couldn't really... It's a weird thing. It blew me away with its production values, really interesting story, great performances, incredible score, but I wasn't really entertained by it. You know what I mean? It's like if someone said to you, oh, do you want to watch this? Or like Christopher Nolan's other movies like Interstellar or Inception, I'd be like, I kind of would rather watch those. Not to take away, the quality of filmmaking in this, but it wasn't something it's not a film you could go back to on a regular basis, kind of once every few years on like a Sunday afternoon. That's the perfect kind of way to watch this. Next up, we have Dragon, the Bruce Lee Story, which I did review on my channel a couple of months ago. Great film, not completely accurate with its story, takes many liberties, but really good performances in it, great direction, looks great, and the soundtrack is incredible. So worth hunting down if you're a big fan of Rob Cohen movies and Bruce Lee in general, I think. But yeah, no new extra material with this, just a new 4K transfer by Shell Factory. And it's a lot better than the previous Blu-ray. Next up is Election, a great film by Alexander Payne, who had directed The Holdovers a couple of years ago, one of my favourite films of last year, even though it came out in 2023, the UK got it in January of 2024. This film always felt like a film by John Hughes. So like seeing this in late 90s this came out, 1999? It felt like a film from the 80s, the way it was kind of shot and how everyone performs in it. It's just, a great story. The 4K Blu-ray isn't particularly wow. You won't really, I was expecting kind of more from it. There is a Criterion Blu-ray out there with more extras, I believe, because there's only a few on this one. But it's still a great film, but he shot it in Super 35 format. And not anamorphically, which is kind of strange because the film doesn't include any special effects or anything like that. It's a very basic kind of film. So the picture isn't particularly super exciting, but still a fantastic movie. If you see it going cheap, grab hold of it. Next up, we have the Steelbook edition of Event Horizon, the 25th anniversary. Includes all the same extras you had on the old DVD and then poured over to the Blu-ray. I remember seeing the Blu-ray a while back, and the picture was pretty good on that. I think this is a big step up from Paramount Pictures. Again, another film shot on Super 35mm, should have shot anamorphically, but again, you're using CGI and they hate the films in anamorphic. Still looks great on a big screen. Still really scary, I think. It still holds up. It's Paul W.S. Anderson's best movie alongside Mortal Kombat. Everything else he's made has been pretty crap, which is a shame because he always comes across as a really nice guy in interviews and stuff and all the making ofs. He's seems like a guy you would want to hang out with, but just makes rubbish, which is a shame. Or I think he just employs really bad editors to edit his films because they're just, you know, unwatchable. But anyway, worth grabbing hold of if you see it going cheap. I got this on Zavvi for like 15 quid. It's a pretty good deal. Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. I love this film. I did have this on Blu-ray a while back, but when Discotek announced they're doing a 4K version, I was like, I want that now. Comes with a bunch of extras that were on the previous edition. Just get a 4K upgraded picture. Also, the beauty of this one, you get all the different audio options and the different edits of the film. I know some people are a bit upset with the changes to the picture with the HDR grading, but I think it looks stunning, and it's one of my favourite animes as well because, you know, I made a whole documentary on Street Fighter, so it goes with that. This and Akira and Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Scroll, some of my favourites. I love the sort of violent kind of animes of the 90s, and this kind of, you know, ticks all the boxes. So yeah, worth getting hold of if you love the anime, of course. Sadly, it's not out in Europe. It's only in America, and also it's 4K, so all 4K discs are region free, so nothing to worry about there. Next up is Sudden Death, one of the best Die Hard clones and one of my favourite Jean-Claude Van Damme films. This came out on 4K a few months back. I was pretty impressed with the transfer. Comes with a few extras. It was supposed to include a commentary by the director, and I think Van Damme was approached to be included with the special features, but alas, he turned them down, I believe. So this comes with the commentary by Mike Leader, who provides a lot of the commentaries for the martial arts movies. Really good transfer. I was very happy with this. I own this on Laserdisc and DVD and Blu-ray. So I was planning to do a video on this with this sort of, you know, you can see different transfers, but I didn't get around to it. But it's a movie I want to return to with a retrospective in future, because I covered it over a decade ago, and it's a very short review, not very good, so I want to give it something a bit more meaty. But yeah, hopefully do that. Hopefully cover that later in the year. Next up is the Edgar Wright Collection, Hot Fuzz, Shaun the Dead, another, what's that one called? A World's End. Yeah, I saw this set going relatively cheap on HMV a number of years back. Had to grab it because, you know, 3 movies on 4K. I mean, you can't turn that down. They all look great. I mean, I didn't see any, I didn't look at it and think, oh, that's not much of an improvement. I was quite happy with that. And you get loads of extras as well. So, I think it still goes for a relatively cheap price. I just hope one day Simon Pegg, Edgar Wright and Nick Frost team up again to do another movie. But because World's End, even though I didn't love it when it first came out, on repeated viewing it does get a lot better, but it still doesn't quite match the heights of Hot Fuzz and Shaun the Dead. It felt like a kind of a rushed production. So hopefully they'll team up again in future to do a 4th movie. No idea what though, what kind of genre, you know. Next up is The Lost Boys, which includes a regular Blu-ray as well, with all the special features on it, which I presume ported over from the previous edition. I was really impressed with the picture on this. It wasn't a film I was that familiar with, despite a huge cult following and being a big movie of the 1980s. It kind of passed me by. And when I saw it, I was like, man, I just wish I saw this when I was younger, you know. I really appreciated it. And I love it because he's got, it's a Richard Donner production, so it's kind of little bits of Superman references in the background, which I kind of liked. And also you got, some of the cast of Goonies kind of returning in this. Yeah, I was really impressed with this movie, and hopefully I can review this in future. Last Action Hero. I was so hyped to buy this on 4K because the transfers in the past have always been a bit oversaturated, never looked great, and then when the 4K came out I was like, I don't think it's anything to do with the transfer. I think it's just like the source material. I think you can always tell when I was watching it when a CG moment was going to occur, because the colour grading would just shift and it kind of drops in quality. I still love the film though. I think despite its flaws, I think there's a great comedy there, and I love it when it's in the kind of the movie world, even though I still adore it when it goes into the real world and really nitty gritty stuff, and it gets a bit depressing. But you can kind of tell there's too many cooks in the kitchen on this. But yeah, I think it doesn't deserve the bashing it got, and it came out when Jurassic Park was just dominating the box office, and Arnold had warned Columbia Pictures at the time, like, don't release it now, just wait. And I went, no, this film's going to be massive, and it just got trounced at the box office, which is a shame, But anyway, it's kind of, if you only get this if you're a big fan of the movie. If you're kind of like umming, ahhing, you won't be that wowed by the transfer. Next up is Peter Jackson's King Kong. Not his best movie, but there's still a lot of great stuff in this. You know, clearly made by a fan, hence why it's so long. The only disappointing thing is that they were clearly rushing to finish it, and some of the CG doesn't quite hold up. But there's large chunks of it which look incredible, and it's got a lot of heart to it, and some wonderful kind of imagery and action scenes. Yeah, it's certainly better than the 70s movie, which I still kind of like. The 70s movie where it starts out so well, it carries on going until you get to King Kong running around New York. It's just really falls on its arse, where this kind of maintains the quality throughout, but it does sort of stick around too long for its own good. But that's talking about the director's cut, I suppose. But yeah, this goes cheap now, on online and in the shops. So if you see this going for a decent price, then certainly pick it up. Of course, if you like King Kong. If you don't bother. Next, we have John Wick Chapter 4, the sort of collector's box set, which includes like postcards and a book. I don't have 1 to 3 in 4K. I just didn't get around to picking them up, so this one was going relatively cheap in HMV. I thought, I'll have that. I do like these little postcard things, but I think like all collectors, we think, well, do we use these postcards and put them up, stick them up on the wall, or you sort of, in your mind, you sort of think, I'll just keep them in the box set, and if I sell it, I'll get it a little bit more for my money. But often the case, you don't really sell them. So I don't know. I think with some of these movies I've got with postcards, I'll make use of them, I think. It's just kind of pointless just leaving them in the box. Anyway, great movie. I saw this at a preview with another film critic called Van Connor. Very nice guy. We all just kind of blown away by it. And it was really amazing in the cinema. And then I saw it at home. Didn't quite have the same effect. It is way too long. But the fight scenes are brilliant. And when you got the shotgun sequence where it's kind of shot looking down, a bit like a video game, it was just like mind-blowing. And Scott Adkins in this is just smashing it out of the park. One of his best performances. Next we have Speed. Incredible 4K. Really good transfer, shot anamorphically, so it looks stunning in 4K. Anything that's shot on film, 35mm, 70mm IMAX is always going to look great on 4K. And if it's anamorphic, you're in for a treat. Yeah, really good transfer. And it just kind of shows you, like another film released this year looked terrible with 4K, which is also a James Cameron movie. But yeah, worth getting hold of if you love action movies, and Keanu Reeves, of course. Really good movie. Yeah, shame the sequel was awful. Next, we have a Canon Films classic, Invasion USA. This is from Vinegar Syndrome. Nice cool slipcover. There's some nice extras with this. They put some effort into this title. It's just a 4K. There's no HDR grading to this. Comes as a booklet as well inside. Something I'll definitely review in future. This is a fun movie, despite most of the plot being cut out of it. But yeah, nice release, but not a huge... If you compare it to the Blu-ray, I mean, you don't see much of an uptick in improvement. Because Canon films are very cheap productions. Not very cheap, but relatively cheap. So you're not going to be, you're not buying into something that's going to look really gorgeous. But it's still kind of fun to watch, and there's got lots of silly moments in it. And it's a shame they didn't do an HDR grade on this, but there you go. I mean, maybe they didn't want to do one. You just keep it just raw, 4K scan. But yeah, fun movie. I should cover this in future. Next is The Holdovers, by Alexander Payne, who had directed Election. Again, one of my favourite films, as I mentioned earlier, of 2024. Came out early 2024 for us. In America, it's like the year before, late December. Incredible film. I'm going to watch this every Christmas now. Obviously, it's shot digitally. They kind of graded it to look like film. It just kind of works. It's just amazing. Like, when you start it in the UK one, it comes with the old BBFC certificate. I was like, wow, they're really making an effort to make this look genuine. I know this came out on 4K over here first. I think in America it was released under, Shout Factory had done a version, or Shout Select. So Universal themselves didn't put it out in America on 4K. They put it out through another label, which is very odd. But yeah, I know a number of people had to import this from the UK. But yeah, incredible film. If you've never seen it, watch it as soon as you can. Next we have Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Classic movie from 1988. No one really expected it to do that well. big risk on Disney's behalf, and I think in conjunction with Amblin Entertainment. Yeah, enough said about Roger Rabbit. It looks amazing. It's very funny, ahead of its time when it came out, and it looks incredible in 4K. So yeah, this one often pops up on those HMV deals in the UK, like buy 2 for this or buy 3 for that. You know what I mean, to save some money. But yeah, if you've never seen this, then where have you been? Next up from Kino Lorber is Hard Target in 4K. Comes with a bunch of new extras, interviews with Lance Henriksen, Yancey Butler, stunt coordinator Billy Burton, and interview with John Woo. So he comes back for an interview, which is great. This blew me away when I saw this on the 4K scan. I was like, could not believe how good it looked. I mean, I had it on Laserdisc in the past and a Blu-ray, but seeing it in 4K, it just like, I was gobsmacked how good it looked. So if you see this going for a decent price, grab hold of it, because it's just mind-blowingly good. Okay, we've got 2 Halloween movies here. We've got Halloween 2 and 4 in 4K from Scream Factory, or Shout Factory, whatever. I got these part of a deal, I think it was, to save some money. Because I thought to myself, because I do Halloween stuff every year, I thought, oh, maybe I should go back and redo Halloween 2, do Halloween 4. And the picture transfers on these are great, and there's loads of great extras to them. But I just didn't feel, I probably wasn't in the right mood when I watched them, because I just wasn't like, oh, I thought they were just not very good. And it was weird, because I enjoyed number 2 more when I was younger, and especially number 4. And everyone always raised back number 4 being like the better of the sequels. I just thought it was kind of very by the numbers. But maybe I should just kind of rewatch it again when I'm in a better frame of mind, But yeah, I'm glad I had these, because I didn't release them over here. It was just, Halloween 1 from Studio Canal, and that was it. And so I thought, well, might as well get these, import these while I can, before they sort of go up in price or they go out of print or something like that. But I didn't bother with the big box set. Did they do a big box set? Maybe that was Friday the 13th. I can't remember. I didn't buy the Friday the 13th one, because I think most of those films are shit. So I stuck with these 2. Next up is Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. I loved watching this in the cinema. It looked incredible, and on 4K it looks stunning as well, because he shot it in, I think, 70mm for the last chunk of it. For a film that's kind of pushing nearly 3 hours long, it doesn't drag at all. It's an incredible performance from Austin Butler and the rest of the cast, Tom Hanks. And there's some of the stuff I didn't know about Elvis, so it was interesting seeing that kind of, his Baz Luhrmann's take on it. Yeah, Austin Butler was kind of career-defining performance, wasn't it? Really? Did he get nominated for that? I can't remember. But yeah, worth getting hold of if you love, music biopics and just good storytelling and filmmaking. It is a masterpiece when it comes to its kind of visual look, Next up is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, one of my favourite Tarantino movies. This and probably Django Unchained are my favourites he's directed so far. I've seen this a bunch of times, and I remember when I saw it at the cinema, I was really confused by it. Structurally, it was kind of different, and the pacing was very different as well. And when it finished, a couple behind me were so baffled by it. They were like, I think they just said, what the fuck was that all about? I went home thinking to myself, did I really enjoy that film? When I saw it again the second time, I just fell in love with it. So yeah, the first time was really just confusing. And then repeated viewing, it's one of the greatest films. And the 4K looks great because it's shot on film. Next up is the German release of NeverEnding Story. I grabbed this when I was out in Germany a couple of years ago shooting stuff for a documentary, and hadn't come out in Europe at this point, or England, sorry. Maybe not America, so it just kind of came out in Germany first, from what I was aware of. I think this includes just the German cut in 4K, which is, I always grew up with the American cut, which had the Lamal kind of song at the beginning. This doesn't have that, and it uses kind of a different piece. And at first it's kind of distracting, but then it actually kind of works better without it. The sort of Giorgio Moroder kind of pop songs in some cases. I still kind of adore the original cut because that's what I grew up with, but I think as the original intention for the film, it still works just as well. And luckily the 4K looked wonderful. I mean, I've seen the film a bunch of times on the formats, DVD and Blu-ray and VHS, never Laserdisc, but this was kind of just wowed me when I saw it. So yeah, you can get this film now in the UK, I believe. And so yeah, if you love your classic 80s movies, this is one to get hold of. Next up is Maniac Cop 2. I'm not a big horror guy, some of you are probably aware of. But I picked up Maniac Cop on Laserdisc a while back, and I recently sold it to a friend of mine. I thought it was kind of interesting kind of movie, and my friends were like, "You've got to watch number 2, it's so much better." And they were right, because this is a fantastic horror movie. So bonkers and over the top. My girlfriend had watched the first one, she wasn't particularly impressed, but she was really like, wow, like wowed by this one. Yeah, really good movie. Quite expensive though in 4K. I had to pay a little bit too much for this, I think, on import. It's one of those kind of, again, sort of boutique labels, or maybe kind of smaller labels. But really good transfer. I hadn't seen it on any other format, so I don't know sort of improvement of what, of the old Blu-ray to the 4K. Even though it does come with a Blu-ray, maybe I should check that. But I just slapped the 4K on and went, wow, this looks great. And I, really enjoyed it. So hopefully one day they'll put it out over here in the UK, because it just seems to be trapped, as an American kind of import. Next up, we have Weird Science from Arrow Video. I do have the regular Blu-ray of this, and the packaging's identical, so you can get confused. Yeah, I only bought this because it was 4K upgrade. This is my favourite John Hughes film. Others may say Breakfast Club or Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This for me was the one that always just I went back to so many times. Just comedy gold, and a little bit more risque, and a bit more kind of like far more curse words in this than say Breakfast Club. And it's got a good sci-fi element to it. The picture looked great to me, and it's got some decent extras on there as well. So I'll probably sell my regular Blu-ray later date or give it to a friend of mine. Next up, we have Wonder Woman 84, a film everyone hated when it came out. I didn't dislike it. There's parts of it I really like, and parts were just completely fall flat. I always compared it to, it's the Superman 3 of the Wonder Woman films. Do you know what I mean? It's like, the first Wonder Woman's directed by Richard Donner, and the second one's by Richard Lester. You know what I mean? The tone is shifted completely. And the whole thing of bringing back Chris Pine was kind of a bit weird, wasn't it? I love the score though. It was a really good score by Hans Zimmer, especially for the Cheetah. I think this film came out really when I think there was slight delays, wasn't there? Because the whole 80s kind of vibe from Stranger Things, and I felt it was a strange kind of leap for the sequel, where the first one's kind of World War I, and then they go straight to the 80s for this one. I think it should have been set around maybe the 1960s or 50s, whatever. Just felt like they're trying to jump on the whole 80s bandwagon. But yeah, I don't dislike the film. I think there's some interesting stuff in there. Just doesn't quite hit all the right beats, but some wonderful performances in there. Yeah, and if you're someone who appreciates slightly campy superhero films like I do, then this one's fine. Next up, we have Willow. I got this for Christmas. I haven't watched it yet. I know the film back to back. I think I watched it on Disney Plus because they put it on 4K on Disney Plus ages ago when I was subscribed to the service. I've since ditched it when I jacked up the price. I remember it looking great, so I have no problem with this kind of expectations of the 4K underperforming. I think it's going to look great. It was photographed by Adrian Biddle, so he knows how to photograph stuff. Did The Mummy and Aliens. Really good film. Borrows a lot from Lord of the Rings. Great performances, and sadly, as of recording this today, Val Kilmer has passed away, and this is one of my favourite performances of his. This and when he was in Tombstone. Right, next up is the contender for one of the worst transfers to 4K, and that is True Lies, which I had reviewed on my channel. I reviewed all the kind of James Cameron 4K Blu-rays minus Titanic, so they will be popping up in this video. Some people still kind of like the transfer. I'm like, what planet are you on? It's like, look terrible. So I'll probably ditch this at some point, give it to a friend, or maybe sell it, because I don't need this funking up my collection. I'm being a bit overdramatic. The previous Blu-ray transfer was better than this. It looks more like the original intent, but it also does 35mm scans going around, which look great. This kind of remaster was terribly done, and it's a shame we could be stuck with this for many, many years. Next up is True Romance, directed by Tony Scott. There was a big box set of this when it came out, but I missed out on that. That sold out pretty quickly. So I've got a standard 4K edition with still a bunch of extras on this. I did watch this the other day for the second time since I purchased it. Picture quality fantastic. The score by Hans Zimmer is like a bit repetitive. Just kind of like that weird kind of like theme he has. I can't remember how to describe it. It just kind of repeats throughout the entire film. And he changes up a little bit when he gets near the end. I was like, man, this is the guy who did Black Rain like a year or two before, and this kind of sounds kind of a bit repetitive. It's a shame this kind of underperformed at the time because it's such an amazing cast, and this didn't quite work. Maybe because the advertising didn't work or the poster didn't quite work. I don't know, but hey ho, it's. I think this is still being sold by Arrow. I don't think it's out of print, so lots of 90s classic movies and worth getting hold of. Next up, we have The Thing in 4K. I own this on multiple copies, so I've got the Arrow release and I've got the previous Universal release on Blu-ray, and I've got no, I don't own it on Laserdisc. I don't own the Signature Collection version, which got ported over to DVD, which I think I do own. So yeah, I was really wowed by the picture on this. Again, John Carpenter, 235:1, anamorphic film. It looks great. I know someone had an issue with the sound at the time, saying there was like an error with the sound, but I never encountered any problems playing it back. It's one of these things where it's remixed in DTS-X, which I'm never a huge fan of. The only one film I knew was problematic was Jurassic Park. It didn't sound great in DTS-X. I think the original DTS mixing was far better. But yeah, I mean, what can you say about The Thing? It's a 80s masterpiece, underperformed at the time, but obviously a cult classic, and Universal keep re-releasing it because it makes money. Next up, we have the Steelbook edition of Total Recall. Wonderful cover they commissioned for this anniversary collection. I think it's an anniversary one. Yeah, 30th anniversary. It comes with those annoying bit things that flip, things that come off. I don't know why they bother with these. Let's print the extras on the back of that. I don't know. But yeah, it just comes with special features, 4K and a regular Blu-ray. I watched this the other day, actually. Some of these I'm just, going through again. It's a nice picture on this. I think the only downside is some of the optical effects are a bit rough around the edges. This was the last of the movies, one of the last batch done with old chemical film, and the analog way, no digital effects. Miniatures in this and the animatronic stuff is incredible. Like Rob Bottin's thing, with Arnold's face, the woman's face like separates and he lifts it off. I still don't know how they did that, but yeah, some of the optical effects are a bit rough, and they look a bit rough in this. I don't think the sound mix is as good as the Laserdisc on this. I think the sort of the remix of the 5.1 is kind of fine, and then they do give you an option, I think, for the no, they didn't, did they? They don't give you the option for the stereo mix on this, and I prefer the Laserdisc to the 5.1 Atmos mix on this. But yeah, one of my favourites of the 90s, and holds up pretty well on 4K, aside from some of the kind of rough opticals in places. Next up is The Terminator, which I'd reviewed a few months ago on my channel. This one's not as bad as the other Cameron kind of remasters. Again, it's a 2K upscale with kind of kind of sharpening in many places. But yeah, not the worst offender out of the AI kind of remasters. But yeah, if you want to know more about this or my thoughts on this remaster, you can check out the video. Next is Top Gun Maverick. I think most people who own a 4K Blu-ray player purchased this because incredible photography in this, IMAX footage as well. Really good sequel. No one expected it to do that well, and because Top Gun was best known for its kind of really being an extended music video. With a lot of kind of young stars who have become big stars after its release, and no one. I think story-wise, this is better than Top Gun, the first one. Obviously, the music isn't as good. You know what I mean? Because the original one's got some great pop songs. This one's kind of got. Maybe one at the end by bloody what's her name, Lady Gaga, which was kind of fine. Didn't really wow me, but yeah, great movie and a great 4K release. Okay, next up we have 2 copies of Life Force on 4K. So originally, Shout Factory put out their edition a few years back, which is the US theatrical cut, which isn't as good as the extended cut that was released internationally. Has a few bits we kind of rescored by Michael Kamen. This one does come with the international cut, but it's just a regular Blu-ray, and I think they ported over a bunch of the extras that have kind of already been done on the previous release. So this is kind of one of those Shout Factory releases where they just re-release a Blu-ray, but it's in 4K, and just kind of reuse the same packaging, right? So I need to get rid of this one at some point. And then Arrow put out their version a couple of months ago, which includes the international cut in 4K, the version I want. Again, they kind of ported over for this release a lot of the stuff they put on their previous Blu-ray from many years ago, actually. So it's taken them a while to get back to doing a 4K remaster. But yeah, I'm glad they did it. Just a regular slipcase release, no fancy box sets. Yeah, I do like the cover though. I do like the new commission design. But I still love this sort of... Actually, so I'm being a bit pedantic now. Well, I think that cover is kind of more interesting. That's the variant. I'll put that one on. There we go. Go with that one. Yeah, you know, if you love 80s kind of sci-fi classics and canon films, this is the best canon movie. Up there with Masters of the Universe. Next we have Leon. Great movie from Luc Besson from 1994. I had this on my shelf for ages and finally got around to watching it kind of late last year. It looks really good on 4K. I think it's, again, anamorphic, I believe. Anamorphic 35mm. Transfer is very good. And I forgot how good this film was. And I watched it years ago and I was like, yeah, it's a great film. But you sort of forget about it and you go back to it. And yeah, it's just a great story. You know, it's a bit weird, like Natalie Portman kind of falling in love with Jean Reno, or his character, you know, it's all a bit suspect. You know what I mean? With the intent behind it all, with Luc Besson is writing. But other than that, it's a great kind of a assassin movie, you know what I mean? Or hitman movie, as it were. Yeah, a really good score by Eric Serra, that's it. A lot of the music in this is kind of used again in GoldenEye, and he would kind of use some of that again in The Fifth Element. But yeah, good release. Okay, we have Star Trek The Motion Picture, the director's cut. No one imagined they'd go back to redo all the visual effects again for the extended cut. Because it only extended it by... They kind of shortened some bits, some extended some other bits. So it wasn't like a huge revelation in terms of like the length of it, but I think the improved visual effects, like what they finished stuff that looked unfinished or needed a bit more work. And they went back and redid it all. It's incredible. I know there's another version of this set. I think there's like a 3-disc set version, I believe. I do have the Star Trek 1 to 4 set in 4K, which includes the theatrical cut, which still looks great in 4K. The theatrical cut still holds up. But this just really blew me away when I put it in. I've not watched it all the way through yet. Star Trek The Motion Picture is one of those movies you've got to be in the right frame of mind and the right day to watch it. You know, it's a Sunday afternoon movie, right? I did watch some of the extras and I sampled a few of the chapters in this and went, that looks really good. So yeah, they did a wonderful job remastering this film. Next we have Dredd in 4K. This is an early 4K from Lionsgate. They did re-release this, or maybe kind of put it out in other countries. This was generally a US import for a long time. I remember the picture being pretty good. I mean, it didn't really blow my socks off. I think down to the fact that they shot it in 3D, 2K resolution. The problem with this movie was that they shot it in 3D, and then they put it out, and no one was interested in going to a 3D screening. They wanted to see the 2D screening, but there wasn't enough 2D showings. They were all 3D showings. Ugh. Anyway, great movie, far better than the Stallone one, and pretty faithful to the 2000 AD comics. Next up, we have The Crow. Got this recently. Really impressed by the picture. The Crow kind of had this kind of very distinctive look on the old transfers. A little bit muddy in places, and this is a lot more kind of balanced with its colours. It looked fantastic. Again, you know, Brandon Lee's last movie, famously shot on set. You know, when you kind of watched it for the first time, you've got that knowing that he died on set, and the music plays all into it in the film, and he dies in the film, and then gets resurrected, then has to sort of, you know, return to his grave at the end. It's kind of upsetting. Yeah, and I think it's kind of, again, this got re-released because they did the remake, which was one of the worst films of the year. You know, everyone hated it, and it didn't need to be remade. Very much the scenario with like RoboCop and Total Recall. Leave them alone, you know. And but yeah, if you love The Crow, you don't own the 4K yet, it's a must-have because it looks stunning. Next up, we have Carlito's Way. Not one of Brian De Palma's best movies, but still a good film. Has a great score by, what's the composer's name again? He did Patrick Doyle did Thor and one of the Harry Potters. I was very familiar with the old Laserdisc of the film, so I wasn't familiar with it on DVD and Blu-ray. So it was quite impressive when I saw it and in 4K. One of my favourite scenes is when he's trying to escape at the train station, and the Patrick Doyle score just kicks in. It's one of the best pieces of music Patrick's written. I'll have to put a link in the description maybe. But Yeah, really good soundtrack to this film. There's a great documentary by Brian De Palma about his career, where he just sits down and goes through every one of his films and just talks about them. That's it. It's so simple, but it's so effective. I just wish every director would do a documentary like that about their career. This works a treat. Next we have The City of Lost Children. A film I hadn't seen growing up. I'd always heard about it. Jean-Pierre Jeunet obviously went on to do Alien Resurrection, and this is the kind of film that really impressed the producers. I tried to get it on Laserdisc when I was in the early days of collecting for the format, but that title was put out in the USA by Columbia or Sony, so it was a disc rotter, had laser rot. So when this finally came out in 4K, I was like, yes, I'll finally properly watch it. And it looks stunning. It's an amazing transfer, but the film didn't quite work for me. I found it kind of a little bit incoherent in places and doesn't quite slot together. It's just a wonderful piece of art to look at, which is a shame, because maybe I just kind of hyped myself up too much, but it was like, just kind of amazing showreel for what Jeunet could do, and his good friend Caro. But yeah, it didn't quite live up to the hype. It looked stunning, but didn't quite work as a story. Next we have Blade in 4K. Obviously the CGI doesn't quite hold up, but it still looks quite nice. The film does. I wasn't like unimpressed with it. It looked great on Laserdisc. It looked great on DVD when it first came out. This is one of the early DVD titles I purchased. I watched it like 4 times over a weekend because it was the only DVD I had. And my friends kept coming around, let's check it out. And I have a big soft spot for this movie. I still think it's the best of the trilogy. Just down to Stephen Norrington's style and the music as well. The opening club music was amazing. Yeah, it's still a fun film. Next up, we have Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Fantastic Batman movie. I saw this advertised a lot as a kid in the comics. This like DC Comics have it advertised in the back. It's now out on VHS or coming to cinemas. And it didn't come out in the UK in the cinema. I think it bombed theatrically, but it found its audience straight away on home video. And I went to W.H. Smith's back in the 90s, picked up on tape, and I was just like, wow, such a great story. And animation always looks pretty good in high definition, right? But 3D animation from Pixar. So yeah, this picture on this is very nice. And don't get much in terms of extras, just a featurette on Kevin Conroy, who sadly passed away. Nice cover though, I do like the cover for this. It would have been nice to have that cover on the slipcover and the original one on the Blu-ray cover, but yeah, what can you do? Next up we have Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. Beverly Hills Cop 1 has all the extras on the additional Blu-ray. Both great movies and both great transfers. This one is kind of it's a very kind of Tony Scott at that time, like Top Gun, and I suppose True Romance in some parts, with that kind of very orangey looking kind of movie. You know what I mean? It doesn't pop with colour. It's kind of more moody kind of settings and stuff. This one got slated when it came out. It made a huge amount of money, but it was on the list of Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel's kind of worst movies of 1988 or 87? I can't remember. But yeah, the first one is still like the best of the trilogy. The trilogy more. So the fourth one, didn't they? Axel F. Axel F is certainly far better than Beverly Hills Cop 3, and probably number 2 in terms of story. There's a lot more story going on in Axel F, but none can really match the quality of the first one. Next we have Star Wars The Force Awakens, which still sells for quite a lot of money retail. Maybe it's out of print now, but I went on eBay, like £35 or £25 for a copy, and my friend gave me this for free the other week. I had it on regular Blu-ray, I bought it like everyone else, and I was like, I don't really need to upgrade, but I do know that the transfer on this is very good, because again, it's shot on film. And I thought, I looked at the prices online, and went, I'm not paying that. But my friend goes, I've got a spare copy, do you want it? I was like, yes please. So yeah, free copy of Star Wars on 4K. Next up, we have Silent Running. I had this on the original Blu-ray. I can't remember what label it was now. This includes a bunch of new extras, directed by Douglas Trumbull. He went on to direct Brainstorm in 1984, but he's best known for the visual effects on Close Encounters and Blade Runner. This is a good movie. It's quite a sad movie as well. It's not a movie you kind of go back to and rewatch a lot. I think it's kind of just, it's classic 70s sci-fi, which always has a bit of a downer ending. And but it's kind of it opens a window to sort of what Douglas Trumbull was doing at the time with visual effects and kind of, moving the technology forward. I bought this not long after watching the Blu-ray, I went, oh, okay, I'll get this and I'll watch it later. And I haven't got around to rewatching it, but I'm sure it looks fine. Next up is Prey, which I got for Christmas over a year ago when they put it out. I watched it on Disney Plus like everyone else did. Everyone was like, where's the Blu-ray? Where's the Blu-ray? And then they finally put it out. And yeah, it reviewed very well, the transfer did on this. Again, another movie I've not watched yet on 4K. I was going to watch it recently because I just did a commentary on Predator 2. I went, oh, I've got to go back and watch Prey. So I will rewatch this soon. Comes with some decent extras. Disney put a lot of effort into this release, thankfully, because they were trying to move away from physical media, right? And everyone was like, come on, just put it out on 4K and disc, and I did. But yeah, it's a good film. It's far better than The Predator, which is coming up later. Next we have Dead Heat, the 4K edition. Nice cool slipcover, kind of weird design on the back. Yeah, this is Vinegar Syndrome has some weird covers. Comes with some new special features, directed by Mark Goldblatt, one of the best editors in the business, retired a couple of years ago. Yeah, fun film, very over the top and silly. There's one part of the film though where it kind of feels like you're missing a massive scene that's been cut out when you see this dude like it's kind of shoved in his fish tank upside down. You think, what happened to him? You don't actually see him get killed off. It just kind of happens off camera. Just felt like a bit weird. No, anyway. Next up we have Dungeons and Dragons, the Steelbook edition. This is from HMV. This was going for a relatively cheap price, so I grabbed hold of it. Comes with a DVD, not DVD. Comes with a 4K and a regular Blu-ray. Yeah, I really enjoyed Dungeons and Dragons. Obviously, it's far better than the movie they made in the early 2000s, which was terrible. I'm not that familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, the kind of game. I was really entertained by it. Very funny, visually it was stunning in places. Very good movie and a very good transfer. Obviously, you got to like your fantasy movies to enjoy this. Okay, next we have Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yeah, a pretty good transfer on this. A film I enjoyed when it came out. Some of my friends who are obsessed with Ghostbusters didn't quite like it. Obviously, very much playing on nostalgia and homaging the original film. But it was fine. It's fine for what it is. And this was going pretty cheap online, so I grabbed hold of it. I've still not bought Frozen Empire, which I may not do. If it's going cheap, I'll grab hold of it. But yeah, fun film, but a bit too much on the old nostalgia switches on that one. Next up we have Ferrari, Michael Mann movie, produced by Sky, Sky Television. I saw this in the cinema, really liked it. Some people just didn't like it at all. Really gruesome crash in it, really graphic near the end. I thought the film was great, so yeah, I went and picked it up on 4K. It's kind of weird seeing Adam Driver playing an older man, but I think he does a great job. I think he does a really good. It's not really. I went into it kind of thinking it was like a biopic on his whole career, but just focuses on, in the 1957, kind of 1 year in his lifetime, which is kind of strange, but still an interesting story nonetheless. Next, we have Fatal Attraction, a film that you don't really need on 4K. It was going for a reasonable price. Obviously comes with a bunch of extras that came out in the previous edition, but fuck it, it's a great movie, and there's a horror film for men. Glenn Close just goes like gothic, and poor old Michael Douglas. Well, it's his fault though, isn't it? For cheating on his wife. Next up, we have The Flash, the Steelbook edition. Not everyone loved this film. There's a lot of great stuff in the film, I think. Great comedy, some really good ideas, great filmmaking. It's just unfortunate that it kind of clearly got released unfinished. The CGI needed a lot more work done. It's great seeing Michael Keaton again as Batman. I think everyone kind of geeked out just for that. But Ezra Miller kind of really messed everything up, didn't he? His shenanigans off camera, causing delays when I'm trying to finish the movie. So yeah, kind of ruined his own career, the tit. Again, the film had a lot of great potential, just kind of hamstrung by the production itself and unfinished visual effects and the whole wiping the slate clean, really, when James Gunn came in. So it was kind of like Shazam 2 and Aquaman all kind of just put out with not much fanfare. But, just flushing the toilet of the Zack Snyder universe, which is kind of for the best. Next we have The Creator, the Steelbook edition. Again, one of those annoying kind of sleeves. You have to sort of slide it out. Here we go. Nice cover though. I like this edition. It's very cool. Looks very nice. Inside you just get just 2 discs. Most of my friends hated this film when it came out. Didn't know why, because I quite enjoyed it. I think it looked really good. I think of what Gareth Edwards had achieved for the budget and the cameras he used, it looked incredible. And that's why I have quite high hopes for Jurassic World Rebirth, even though I'm not that fussed about Jurassic World and that kind of franchise in general anymore. I just think that it's one of these, Gareth is one of those directors to sort of like, he's going to deliver something really fucking interesting. I thought it was kind of a very interesting film, very sort of anime inspired in areas, and a bit of the Terminator and Matrix, you could argue. Yeah, I mean, if you see us going for a reasonable price, you're not familiar with the film, I'd definitely give it a go, and it'll look great on your setup. I mean, despite it kind of being shot on, I think it was like, I'm sure it was 6K cameras or 5K cameras, I think. One of my friends, we've been shooting this documentary on No Retreat, No Surrender. He's using the exact same camera I used on this. So yes, mad, isn't it? Mad. Anyway, worth a watch. Next up, we have Dog Soldiers from Second Sight Films. This special edition box set took forever to come out. I think I'm maybe just trying to find the best elements to use, because there was a previous Blu-ray, from Shout Factory, I think. It looked terrible. I think, Neil Marshall, the director, was kind of heavily involved in this. It's a wonderful set. I mean, it's got loads of good stuff in this. I've only watched it once, obviously, since getting hold of it, because it's one of those things, right? You know, you're waiting forever. Like, when's this coming out? When it comes out, you're just like, oh, wicked, cool. And you flick through it and go, yeah, I'll read that later. And you watch the movie and don't go back to it. That's the thing, right, with these. I suppose a fear of missing out, isn't it? FOMO. FOMO is a big problem with the Blu-ray collectors kind of market and, that fan base. We all fall for it now and again, but like some of these sets I'll show you shortly, they include like the script with the movie, with the box set. I'm like, who's going to read that? Who needs that? It's like my favourite film is Superman the movie. If Warner's put out a set and it includes like a ginormous book with the script, I don't need that. You know what I mean? But anyway, this one includes like a massive making of the book, so that's kind of worth it, right? That's definitely worth it. For a film shot on 16mm, it looked great in 4K. I saw this in the cinema when it came out, and I fell in love with it. It was like such a great movie. So funny, great kind of banter in it, like between the guys, very British sense of humour. And it's very gory as well. I think it shocked me at the time I saw it. I think Neil Marshall's kind of best movie is definitely The Descent. I'm not sure if that's been released on 4K, but that absolutely terrified me when I saw it. But so hopefully they'll bring that out. But yeah, this is a very cool set. I'm not sure if this is still available. I think kind of like limited edition kind of set. It wouldn't surprise me if this was sold out. But yeah, it's definitely worth the value of what I paid for it at the time. But if it has sold out, then it may be going for silly prices. Next up, another box set, we have Conan, which I reviewed on my channel last year when it came out. It's a really good release. Sadly, it hasn't been re-released in the UK from Arrow. It's just only exclusively in America, down to the fact I think it's kind of in the UK it's kind of like MGM and Fox. When in America it's very much both owned by Universal. Very cool set. If you want to know more about this, you can find the video on my channel. Next up, we have Beetlejuice, something I got for Christmas. It's always like Christmas time, when you get older, you don't know what to ask for, and you just think, I'll make a list of stuff I kind of need but don't really need, you know what I mean? So yeah, Beetlejuice 2. I like this film. I reviewed it kind of fairly positively. Some of my friends kind of hated it, some loved it. Very mixed kind of movie, very a Marmite type film, I think. I was just happy to see Michael Keaton back as Beetlejuice, very much like with Batman and The Flash. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed this film. A bit overstuffed with too many storylines for its kind of run time. But yeah, it's classic Tim Burton. I was happy with that. And the picture looks great. Next we have The Batman. A really good movie. Not that rewatchable though. It looks stunning. Wonderfully directed. Great performances. Robert Pattinson is a really good Batman. Probably the most chatty Batman. But it was just kind of like, the action was well done, but not that amazing. And the Batman action scenes are kind of a bit pondering in places. The bit when he smashes through the stadium, that was a proper Batman moment, and there wasn't enough of that, you know what I mean? And it was a bit too long, way too long. But I love the detective aspect to it. That's Batman when it should be. He's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, and it kind of shows in this. So I'm looking forward to seeing the sequel, but it doesn't quite hit the entertainment level of quality as Batman Begins, I think. Up next is the other Batman movies. So we've got Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. These are all going like a part of a deal at HMV. I owned Batman '89. I reviewed it on my channel. Obviously, that was kind of... Its video quality was very good transfer, but they messed with the colours. They put in a lot of teal, and Batman Returns is teal overload. This film is supposed to be very monochromatic, very black and white, and they made it very black and blue. So it's a shame, because some moments where it looks amazing, and there's others like, what have you done to the colours? It's annoying. These two, thankfully, don't have their colours messed with. As far as I'm aware, I think they still look pretty good. So these are basically HDR10 or whatever 4K transfers, and they look great. And that's kind of the plus side of these. They weren't messed with. Batman Forever looks great, and so does Batman and Robin. It looks great. It looks good to look at in terms of its transfer and resolution. Just not a great film. But Batman Forever has got a lot of good stuff in this. And again, you know, an underrated performance by Val Kilmer. Yeah, I mean, I think most people, if you're a big Batman fan, you probably own this, or maybe bought the box set of this, right? But yeah, so I kind of bought these thinking I would kind of redo them in the future anyway, as a retrospective. But yeah, I'm going to have them, but I mean, you know, I don't think I'm going to be rewatching this film in particular anytime soon. Next up, we have The Abyss. Like True Lies, I covered this on my channel not long ago, or maybe a year ago. Time ticks away so quickly now. Sadly, this didn't come out in the UK. Had to import it from America. Definitely the better looking of the kind of remasters James Cameron did. Didn't seem as offensive as True Lies and Aliens. Next up, we have Alien Romulus, which I've not watched yet. I watched it on, like, I think it was Disney Plus before I got rid of it. No, I didn't. I can't remember where I saw it now. I saw it in the cinema and I reviewed it, and I quite liked it. Some people hated it, you know what I mean? There's massive arguments in the comments section of my video, which I don't get involved with. But obviously with this home release, they did improve some of Ian Holm's stuff on camera. I think they've adjusted the sort of the detail and maybe the lighting on him, so it doesn't look so glaringly obvious that they've taken this puppet and just kind of added some CG over the top, because it was a puppet. They did everything with a puppet. It was amazing. They kind of, you know, fiddled with I think they kind of maybe CGI'd his mouth and stuff. I still quite like this film. It's definitely better than Resurrection, and you could argue in terms of subjectively better than Alien 3. Yeah, I still need to rewatch it. It's still got the plastic wrapper thing on it. Maybe I'll give it a spin in a couple of weeks. Aliens, again, like The Abyss and True Lies, it's covered in my channel. If you want to know more about my thoughts on this remaster, you can check that out. Yeah, again, it's not the greatest. Some people love it though. You know, some people are like, I don't care. You know, I don't care about the AI upscaling. It looks great on my TV. It's like, yeah, but it shouldn't look that sharp. You know what I mean? It should look natural. This looks like it's just been... James Cameron just gone, take the sharpness and turn it up to 11. Yeah, that's good. Release it. You know, shouldn't look like that. But yeah, I still kind of prefer the old masters on Laserdisc, where you've got a bit more colour to it. It doesn't look so washed out with teal and this kind of cold look. Had a lot more purple and blues and reds in it, and this kind of takes away a lot of that, which they took away with the old Blu-ray master anyway. So this is the Blu-ray master with a upscaled to 4K. Next up is the collector's edition of Army of Darkness from Shout Factory. Only the theatrical cut is in 4K, and the other discs include the regular Blu-ray of the theatrical cut, then you've got the international cut and the director's cut. So depending on what mood you're in, you can watch any version you like, but apart from only one of them is 4K. So it looks great. I mean, this looked great on Laserdisc when it came out. So this has always looked pretty nice. Photographed by Bill Pope. His stuff always looks pretty jazzy. And very amusing movie, obviously very slapstick compared to... Well, number 2 introduced this kind of slapstick comedy, but this takes it to the next level, which not every fan likes. But I grew up with this movie, so yeah, it's one of my favourites. Next we have 65. Now, Oliver, why do you own this movie? I quite like this film. I love the premise of it. And I saw it in the cinema. I did review it on my channel, and I think, you know, I was kind of fair on it. I kind of pointed out its kind of pros and cons. And some people agreed with me, some disagreed. And I thought, no, I should watch this movie again. I liked it. Sony, titles are quite pricey. They take a while to drop down in price, and they're quite clever with Sony have got the smarts to say theatrical release, Blu-ray, 4K, DVD, then digital, right? Not the other way around, which Warner's and other studios are doing, and just basically screwing themselves in the foot. So they their back catalogue kind of stays, or new releases, stay quite high in price. Luckily, I got this kind of relatively decent price. I wasn't paying like £25 for it, that's for sure. But yeah, I still kind of like it despite some of its faults. And I like kind of random kind of sci-fi movies that pop up, and this one, has an interesting premise. This meaty box set. Okay, right. This is the second print run of Super Mario Brothers from Umbrella Entertainment, one of their biggest releases. Ginormous. I've not watched everything on this disc. This is one that includes like all these books, the screenplay, making of, and behind the scenes kind of artwork in here, postcards. It is crazy, and it was very expensive, 150 Australian dollars. So I paid for this, including shipping, about £80. That's a lot, you know what I mean? So I don't tend to spend more than most people when it comes to like a Blu-ray release. £40 kind of the maximum when it's like a big set, but because this was what you got and it was kind of limited with that, I thought fuck it, I'll have it. Also, Super Mario Brothers doesn't come with like an HDR grade, just a 4K scan and presented just pure 4K. But like other films I've reviewed, like or covered, Invasion U.S.A. and Color Out of Space was the one I had reviewed at the time on my channel, which didn't come with an HDR grade. Some don't, some do. Most do though. So not a great movie, obviously Super Mario Brothers. You have to have grown up with it to appreciate it. Yeah, I was very happy to see this come along. I mean, a film that tanked and everyone hated gets this like kind of treatment. It's kind of fascinating, isn't it? Another big box set. This is from Second Sight, The Hitcher. Again, took forever to come out. They promised it and it kept getting delayed. So I presume trying to find the best elements for the remaster. You're really good picture. I loved it. Amazing set. Comes with, I think this also comes with the script as well. It's like, do I need the script? Let's have a look actually to double check that. Postcards, which no one uses. Oh, you get the screenplay. There you go. Screenplay, yay! 2 discs. I think one's just a regular Blu-ray and 4K. Yeah. And what's this? Another lovely book. Oh wow. Okay, about the making of the film. I can't remember if I even flicked through this book. Yeah, so a lot of good stuff in there. Yeah, I mean, I covered this on my channel using the old Blu-ray master that I think may have been from a German release of the film. I think it was. I bought the media book. That was it. Yeah, I still got that media book. I should give that away at some point. But yeah, again, a film that the Hitcher's cult classic, right? Big hit on home video and cable. Especially with HBO. You just didn't expect it. No one would expect something like this. I mean, I suppose you could expect something more like this to get a big set than Super Mario Brothers, which kind of was a massive failure. But again, of kind of all movies to have all this kind of effort put into it is still kind of mesmerising in a way, because you don't see this with films that were really successful. You don't get this type of care and attention put on them. If we live in a perfect world, we'd see something like Ninja Turtles, the movie, by Steve Barron, get this kind of treatment. You know what I mean? That's what I want. Other box set we've got here is the Alfred Hitchcock collection. This is going for a decent price. I've watched The Bird, Psycho, and Vertigo on this. I've not checked out Rear Window yet with the 4Ks, but the 4Ks are great. I mean, Vertigo looked pretty spectacular. I was like, oh wow, straight away. It's amazing when you see old films looking so good. Because obviously they're shot on film, and Hitchcock would use the VistaVision format for some of his movies. So when you see them in high quality, you're just like gobsmacked at the quality of photography back then. Next, we have The Last Emperor from Arrow Video. This came out a couple of years ago. I love this film, absolutely adore it. It's great they kind of remastered it. I've not watched the director's cut on this, but that director's cut's only in 1080p, it's not in 4K, only the theatrical version is. Comes with some nice extras, comes with a poster and a booklet, and yeah, if you love kind of epics like this, then this is something you need to own. You've never seen it, it's something you must have. It's an incredible story. Another box set, we have the Mad Max films, the anthology from Warner Brothers. All the films in 4K, though Fury Road was a 2K shot, so the only one that's kind of a fake 4K. I did have Fury Road on 4K separately, which I gave away because you got the box set, right? I kept hold of my Mad Max 1 Blu-ray from Shout Factory because it has more extras, but these are basically a bit empty on extras. I think there's a couple of little bits and bobs, like an audio commentary for number 2 that was carried over from the Blu-ray, an introduction by Leonard Maltin. You know, number 3 has nothing, so it's like, I remember when I did the retrospective on number 3, you have to search everywhere for decent stuff, like old TV recordings of the making of, and there was like two done at the time, one by different production companies, so you had to sort of mix and match to make it look interesting. But yeah, that was again going for I think £25. It's not bad for 4 great movies really, in 4K. I think maybe 1 or 2 of them had problems at the beginning, when I first pressed. Maybe sound problem maybe, but I never encountered any issues with my one, so it's maybe a later pressing. But yeah, worth getting hold of if you can see it going for a decent price. Another Arrow release, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, really good remaster. I covered this on my channel. If you want to know more about this, you can check out the video somewhere below. As mentioned earlier, I do have The Predator. Okay, hear me out. I got this cheap because in HMV, sometimes when you buy something and you go to the counter and they've got stuff going cheap, this was £5. I said, I'll have that because I'd probably review it in future. So yeah, definitely the worst of the Predator films. I'm still intrigued to see if Shane Black will ever release the extended cut, where kind of, or one that, because this kind of got butchered in the edit. I want to see what they cut out, see if it would make it a better movie, but who knows. But yeah, got it cheap, so don't complain too much. Next up is The War of the Worlds in 4K, the classic 1950s movie, and it includes When Worlds Collide. But that's a regular Blu-ray though. I've not actually checked this out, actually, this 4K release. I should do it soon. Comes with a bunch of extras. It's kind of strange. This is kind of a double bill release. Because I used to do that with Laserdisc. We'll just include a couple of B movies together on the Laserdisc package. But yeah, nice to have this. It wasn't expensive at all. I'm very familiar with the Spielberg film, but I've not actually had a chance to properly watch the classic 50s one, which has kind of like inspired a lot of young filmmakers like Joe Dante and Zemeckis and so forth. So yeah, I need to give it a spin sometime. Next up is Elysium, the Neil Blomkamp movie, which I loved when it came out. He was kind of on a roll doing these kind of great sci-fi movies. I think Chappie didn't quite work for many people, but I love this film. Really good visual effects, and just that kind of look the design he uses for sort of the production design, kind of everything that kind of works with the CGI and what they can do with it. And it's really funny stuff in this. Doesn't quite hit the course of District 9, but I just love the idea of all the rich folk living on this kind of like, space station, and everyone's trying to get to them to use this machine which basically can cure you of any like illnesses like cancer. It's like straight away. I'm like, oh, I'd love to have one of those machines, you know what I mean? Everyone would love one of those. You can smoke and drink, do as much as you want, just use the machine every morning. But yeah, great film. Again, a Sony title that was always quite pricey, never dropped in price for a long time until HMV did one of those buy 3 for £30. I was like, oh, I love that. Next up is the sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. I saw this in the cinema. I don't recall reviewing it. I thought it was a very good film, very good filmmaking in this, really good use of visual effects. You just, at the time you just couldn't imagine them doing a sequel and it actually working. It does work. Yeah, I think it's a very underrated movie. I don't think it got the kind of success it did on release. I think it did all right, but I think it was cost a lot to make, I think. And yeah, if you really enjoyed the original film and kind of a bit dubious about a sequel, then don't be put off. I think it definitely works. There's a lot more going on with its story for sure than the original film. And I mean, is it as scary as the first one? I never found the first one that scary. I think they're both slightly different films, but they're both dealing with the same kind of subject. But I think this one kind of holds up really well and doesn't feel like such a leap, you know, in filmmaking, in style. I think they do a very good job of sort of mimicking Kubrick's way of filmmaking. There's some great flying effects in this film. The director does some really clever stuff. But yeah, worth giving a spin, and it looks stunning. Next we have Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola, with the whole, you know, Nosferatu becoming very popular recently. I prefer this to Nosferatu. I didn't review Nosferatu at the time. Everyone was kind of raving about it. I didn't quite like it. It looked stunning in places, nothing wrong with the performances. It was too dark some parts, you just couldn't see anything. I was just kind of like, nah, by the end. I felt a bit bored by it halfway through. And I felt like I was slightly the odd one out. You know, when people were discussing it online, I was like, was it that good? And I thought to myself, no way, this was far better. Visually, music-wise, performances. Well, Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, not very good in it. But Gary Oldman, god damn, he's good. Yeah, I think this film is far more interesting than Nosferatu. Yeah, this is a masterpiece, I think. We have the Matrix trilogy in 4K. I did purchase the Matrix and cover that in the first video I did of my collection. And then I was doing a review on Reloaded as a retrospective. I thought, I should get the box set. And so I got rid of the first one and just bought the box set because this was going for like, I think it was like $34.99, maybe 30. That's about £30. So it's not bad. £10 for each 4K Blu-ray. And I know I'd cover them in future, so yeah, I had to get all this. And they all look great in 4K, so The Matrix really blew me away the first time I saw that. Next up, we have Dune 4K box set, very similar to the Robin Hood and the Waterworld box sets they did, where you've got the, you know, you get a book and a poster and so forth. Very good transfer, I loved it. I was very familiar with the look of the film since the days of Laserdisc, and this was like the best it's ever looked like film. So I was really happy with the transfer, and there's some good extras on this as well. It's missing the big documentary that was supposed to be on it, then got put on the German release, then that sold out really quickly. But the documentary that kind of got missed out on this is on YouTube. I think you can find it. It's like an hour and a half long, yeah, which is worth a spin. The Sword and the Sorcerer from Shout Factory or Scream Factory. I'd never seen this film before. I'd heard of it. It was supposed to be, you know, the movie that made Albert Pyun a kind of must-have director back in the early 80s, because he shot, you know, this was shot for peanuts, and it made a lot of money. And kickstarting the sort of fantasy genre at the time, along with like Dragon Slayer and Conan and Dark Crystal and Excalibur. This film is not very good. It starts out quite well, and it sort of falls into a bit of a mess, and it's a bit incoherent, which is a shame. You know, I was really like gutted. Because me and my friend Stuart Ashen, we're kind of watching it going, this is really pretty cool. As it starts out, and then we were laughing at it, and it just became like, what is going on? It made no sense in some places. Such an amazing cover. Look at that cover though. That is pure fantasy art, you know what I mean? But yeah, disappointing. I think I think this got re-released over here by another label, I think. Yeah, not a great movie, I'm afraid. Frankenstein, another one from Arrow Video, 4K release. I'd been hoping to review this film for a long time. Because when I did Dracula, everyone was like, you've got to do Frankenstein. But there was nothing out there. There was no behind the scenes stuff. There's information, of course, but there's nothing visually to pull from. All the, the DVD and Blu-rays are bare bones, and no one had uploaded any sort of old featurettes. And I thought there must have been one at the time, and so I thought, well, I have to wait till something gets put out years later, and they did. But I've not got round to covering it. I've not got round to watching this 4K remaster as of yet. So I'll hopefully come like October, I'll give this a spin and see if it wows me with its picture. I'm sure it's pretty good. I mean, the film did look pretty good on Blu-ray. So yeah, looking forward to finally sitting down and watching this. Next is The Running Man, the anniversary collection, the 35th anniversary collection, which includes no extras. So stupid. There's a German release of this, and it includes loads of extra material, which is really baffling why they did this. But the picture on this is phenomenal. Really good picture. Absolutely loved it. It's a shame it comes with nothing, but it's a cool steelbook though. Comes with a nice kind of cover, as you can see there. Looks very nice. Yeah. Cool release with its cover, but unfortunately no extras, making it not very much a anniversary edition. First time on 4K, hooray! Next we have a major stinker. I bought it because it was cheap. Red Sonja. This was bad, but really funny bad. Really good score on this. It looks amazing in places. Really good photography. It's a shame the performances from, Bridget Nielsen is really bad, and Arnold returning as Conan, but he's not Conan. Conan is Calidor, isn't he? Yeah, not a great film. Picture transfer was kind of, some people were a bit miffed by some of the colour changes, kind of to upgrade its look. But I enjoyed it for its kind of silliness, really, and I was kind of more wowed by the look of it and just and the score by Ennio Morricone. Yeah, really wowed by that. But other than that, the film's a stinker. Oh, another bad film. Why did I buy this? Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City. I saw this in the cinema, and I did review it on my channel. Me and my friend are obviously big fans of the games, love them, adore them. And then Paul W. Anderson came along and made 6 or 7 movies, and only 1 or 2 of them were kind of watchable. The rest are really bad. And this one kind of returned to what the games was about, but then it kind of falters by having poor casting and combining Resident Evil 1 and 2 into one movie. It's like, no, you can make a whole movie of Resident Evil 1, so why aren't filmmakers doing that? And I thought I'd give this a watch again because I kind of enjoyed the silliness of it and the schlockiness of the film. And again, this was a pricey title, another Sony Pictures release, and stayed like £25-30 for ages. And I thought, I'm not paying that for this turkey. It's not something I'm going to review in future, but something to watch with your mates when you're a bit stoned or a bit drunk, maybe. I don't know. Next is the 4K edition of RoboCop, the Steelbook edition. I pre-ordered this because I already had the other box set they put out by Arrow, and they would put out again as a 4K release, but there was an option to have the Steelbook, which is like, well, I definitely want this one because I love the cover. Comparing the Blu-ray to the 4K, I didn't see a major improvement in picture. But it's still nice to have it in a high resolution, of course. Includes a bunch of extras that were included in the previous set. When it comes to extras, you just need to watch RoboDoc, which is one of the best documentaries on a feature film. But yeah, nice to have this steelbook, and I'm not sure if you can still get it. No idea. It's like the thing with steelbooks, isn't it? I don't tend to buy them that much. Only rarely I'll pick up them up. I've got maybe 4 or 5 titles in all this steelbooks, but they often sell out and go for silly prices later on. So hopefully that you can still get this for a decent price. Next up, we have Roadhouse, the 4K edition from, I think it was Vinegar Syndrome. Cover's not bad. I do like the design. I think everything looks creased on them. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of an interesting design, but not quite eye-catching at first. It's a cool set, for sure. It looks amazing. Really cool design to this. What did you get with this again? I can't remember what you get with it. You do get the Blu-ray edition of the film, and you get the 4K, and these cases. It's always the bit you put them in. They're always too thin, like don't stay in the case. Oh yeah, Arrow are bringing out a version of this, so it'll be the same master. I wasn't wowed by the 4K of this. It looked like a Blu-ray to me. It looked fine. It didn't wow me. I was like, I don't know. I don't see an upgrade. I didn't notice much of an improvement in picture over a regular Blu-ray, to be honest. But it's really nice, really cool set though. I was really impressed by that, and surprised like Vinegar Syndrome picked up quite a popular title. Usually they kind of focus on kind of B movies and horror, right? And to see them do Roadhouse, I was like, what? That's a bit weird. But I had to have it. Well, this box set I reviewed on my channel over a year or 2 ago when it came out. If you want to know more about this, you can find a video on my channel. Again, 2 of the transfers are amazing, and 2 are a bit and they messed up the sound on Superman 4, the Dolby Atmos mix. They used all the wrong takes from the music, so you got like all the music in the film, but half of it sounds awful. It's really frustrating. Warner Brothers didn't acknowledge the mistake, so you're kind of stuck with this Atmos track with a score that sounds terrible, and it doesn't sound terrible in its original presentation, and on the soundtrack release it just botched the Atmos mix. Oh, I'd be so angry. But Superman 4, despite its low budget nature, looks great in 4K. So does Superman 3. Superman 2 looks a bit of noise reduction on Chris, with the grading and the HDR. And Superman the movie could have looked better. I think Warner's had done a better 4K transfer, which I think is actually on HBO Max, or for streaming, looks better than the 4K one they put out on that set. Anyway. Next we have Bloodsport, the German release. It's on Cape Light, who also distributed The Last Kumite, which I edited. So I didn't know this was going to come out in the UK. I went, oh my god, I've got to get Bloodsport. I love this movie. And it's a really good transfer, really looked gorgeous. But it's also all in German, and it's classic German, like, you know, media book. You know, they love the media books. That's all they do over there. You know, but it's all in German. I'm like, I can't read this. So, and then they put it out over here, and it's really pricey. It's like 35 quid just for Bloodsport and some extras. I'm like, it's a bit too much for my liking. And I paid a little bit less for that for the German release, but again, it's like, you know, I love the cover, you know. But yeah, next up is Highlander, a release I pre-ordered from Amazon, and they obviously took too many pre-orders and couldn't honour the sale, so I had to go on CEX a month later and pay £10 more for its retail price. Fuck's sake. Yeah, so very happy to have this. Big fan of Highlander. Not everyone loves it, but I mean, I think it's a brilliant film. Comes with a bunch of kind of comic and badges and stuff, which is kind of a bit you don't really need. I love the presentation, and it looked pretty impressive. Highlanders looked, you know, quite a grainy film in areas, which is fine. That's detail for you. But it's always a pretty dynamic and, you know, great contrast and colour to it. So yeah, it's a good 4K. Next is The Keep, which I reviewed a couple of months ago. I think most people kind of agreed with me that the sound on this sounded awful. It's a very bad sound mix. People weren't, when I was reading the comments, people hated the artwork for this. They hated the cover. I did fail to mention, though, that you can, let's reverse it and get the original kind of poster design for it. So I'll put that on now. There we go. There we go, swish. All done. Original design. This is coming out from Umbrella Entertainment, another version. So if you missed out on this one or don't want to pay import fees for this version, then you can get the Umbrella version because it'll be identical, but with just different packaging. So there you go. Next we have Enter the Dragon, the special edition for Warner Brothers to celebrate its anniversary. This kind of sold out in the UK pretty quickly. I wanted to get it for Christmas, I think, well, maybe my birthday, and my girlfriend couldn't find it in the UK. You had to get it from abroad. Like, I think it was like it's got Swedish, Finnish on the back, but it's all in English though. It just comes with steelbook, Enter the Dragon, with the Blu-ray and 4K, and includes like a sort of like an envelope thing, really, with I think like there's postcards in this. I can open this without damaging it. What have we got here? Kind of like a mini poster sort of design there. Oh, we got these. Oh, that's quite cool. I like that. Kind of see it's kind of moving. That's quite sweet. Yeah, you got like a poster there and some like postcards and stuff. Yeah, some cool little designs there. Not quite as good as the Laserdisc set I got, which I covered in my Laserdisc, my recent Laserdisc update video. So that was quite cool. But yeah, very happy to have this. Massive fan of Enter the Dragon. And I was glad I didn't miss out on getting this set because I would have been annoyed. Next we have Demolition Man. Came out fairly recently, like Christmas release, right? There's a lot of hoo-ha about this because some YouTube channels said it was far better than the regular Blu-ray. Miles better, blew them away. Worth getting just for the 4K. Then people start showing you the comparisons. There wasn't much of an uptick in picture change from the Blu-ray to the 4K. So people were like, oh, a bit dubious about some of these people's comments. So anyway, I wasn't that familiar with the Blu-ray. So when I kind of compared the two, I was like, oh, it isn't a major improvement, but it's still a nice picture, of course. You know, I think everyone's kind of covered this online, this set. So poster and sticker and a booklet and stuff like that. And but yeah, very happy to have this. Big fan of the movie. And last but not least, we have JFK. Weirdly, a number of my patrons were asking me, "Are you going to buy? Are you going to get this movie?" I was like, yeah, I might do. So my phone was United States, and I said, look, can you pick up a few titles for me? And one was JFK. And I did watch this the other week. Really good picture. I watched the director's cut in 4K. Yeah, it's a fascinating film. It's quite intense with information and like dialogue. So it's whipping along, and you're trying to take in everything to see who's covering up this, or who's doing this, who's kind of conspiring against so and so. It's very difficult to keep up with, I think. So as a film, you've got to watch a couple of times to sort of get your head fully around the conspiracy. You get Collector's Edition Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray, and a Collector's Edition. What the hell? Okay, right, theatrical cut. That's all the extras, and that's the 4K, which includes director's cut. So okay, I think this is the first time in a while you could get the theatrical cut on this, because I think it was just the director's cut that kind of dominated the home video versions over the years. So people were kind of like, oh, good to have the theatrical cut again. You know what I mean? But yeah, there you go. That is everything I've purchased the last 4 years on 4K Blu-ray. My voice is going now. I've been talking for way over an hour. Yeah, I hope you found that video interesting. Obviously, there's other stuff I've missed out on, like certain box sets I didn't purchase over the last few years. I can probably still get them at a relatively cheap price, maybe, or maybe they're out of print. I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of happy with my collection so far. There's a lot of stuff here I've not fully sunk my teeth into and watched all the extras. I need to do that at some point. And obviously films like Frankenstein I've not properly watched. So yeah, I need to get around to doing that. I don't want to be like one of these collectors where you just kind of, again, fear of missing out, and you put it on your shelf and you never watch it. So why did you spend your money on that? Like, spending 30, 40 quid, and then it sit there collecting dust where some other person was desperate to get hold of it and they kind of missed out on it. You know what I mean? So, this, my lesson is always watch what you're going to buy. Don't just buy it because you're going to get a fear of missing out this collector's set, which is not really. Arrow have been doing that as well. Like, this went out of print, it was sold out before Christmas, and then a week later it was back in stock. I was like, well, that's quick. What's going on? You know what I mean? They're very crafty with their kind of it's limited edition. It's not really. But anyway, folks, take care of yourselves, and goodbye for now.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to click the like button and hit the bell to be notified of my latest reviews. Big thanks to my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel. If you want to get involved and gain access to exclusive videos and take part in Q&As, follow the link below.